This is Movie Night with the Boys.
Hello there.
Hi, welcome to Movie Night with the Boys. I'm Zach.
And I'm John.
And we're a weekly podcast that talks about movies, TV shows, and video games. And today we're talking about episode 3 and 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, John, take it away.
So, the opening scene is Obi-Wan meditating. You get him, experiencing trauma again. I don't know if he's sensing it or if we're just being fed the scene, but as he's meditating, we're also getting Vader being put together. I always enjoy the visual of him getting put together. I don't know how you feel about it, but it always brings me back, like to the first time we ever saw it, every time.
I mean, realistically, the only thing we see back in the day is his helmet being put on once.
Mm-hmm.
And we never
that's
actually
fine.
see him being rebuilt, though.
No, I know,
Right?
but
So it seemed like he had his head in some kind of machine and whatever, and then it zooms out and his helmet gets put on.
and then he gets rolled up. What didn't he? Never mind. We're not gonna go down that path. So after that, Vader ends up telling Reva to find Kenobi, and that if she does, she'll get the position of Grand Inquisitor, and if she fails him, she won't live to regret it. So after that, we get a scene of Ben and Leia landing in the transport on the mining planet Mapuzo, where they walk all the way to the point where they're supposed to be picked up by Hajjah's people, or Hajjah's people. No one's there, and of course, first thing Ben is doing is thinking, "Oh, he was lying to us. We got screwed." And then, almost moments later, we get an Imperial transport with his name was Freck. This character Freck that's just happened to be driving by. They get picked up by him and they start going towards the port, having fed him a story about how they're a father and daughter that just kind of got lost in the area with having visited family. So they're going through the desert, and Freck stops and picks up a group of stormtroopers. And of course, this makes Ben panic. I almost called him Luke again. This makes Ben panic. But he gives him a good story. He almost slips up by calling Leia, but he comes up with a good recovery on. She looks so much like her mother that I just kind of get confused and call her by her name. Good save on Ben's part there. So they escape that situation, and they manage to get by with the story. But then they end up at an Imperial checkpoint where Freck actually kind of gives them up. They come out and initiate Protocol 23 is what he says, and one of the scouter droids comes up and checks out Ben and determines him to be the Jedi Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi. He shoots the droid. He fights the stormtroopers there. One of the stormtroopers gets cut in half, which was pretty intense. So Obi-Wan breaks down the lasers by shooting the machine, and they get through. And another Imperial transport shows up with 3 or 4 stormtroopers and an Imperial officer. They go to arrest them. Obi-Wan and Leia are on the ground, and then the Imperial officer shoots all the stormtroopers, and she reveals her name is Tala, and she was Hajjah's contact. She was running late. And she's part of a underground network called The Path, who helps people hunted by the Empire to get away from where they are. It's kind of like the Underground Railroad, in a way.
It's the beginning of the rebellion.
Yes, the early stages. So Reva and Fifth Brother are elsewhere, and they get the message from the scouter droid that Kenobi and Leia are on this planet, and they immediately send their forces out. Vader already knows, according to Fifth Brother, and Reva and Fifth Brother's tension is the same as it always is. One of them is better than the other. pissing contest, who's Lord Vader's #1 bullshit. And so yeah, they make their way to Mapuzo, and on their way we get this whole thing with Kenobi and Leia going into this safe house, which has like a hidden safe room in it. And I don't know. This is something that didn't get by on me. I have a question about that. He says Quinlan was here. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Who is Quinlan?
Quinlan Voss, he's a Jedi. Yeah. Quinlan Voss left a note on the wall. There's a couple other Jedi names also on the wall. But yeah, Quinlan Voss is like he's got quite a backstory. He turned to the dark side and then he came back to the light side, and we're not really sure where he ended up.
Huh,
But yeah, he's a pretty badass Jedi.
interesting. I'd like to find out some
Yeah.
more about him.
Yeah, actually, I believe you see him in one of the movies or possibly like the Mando. I can't remember, but he's like this Jedi with this like yellow paint on his face and dreadlocks.
Oh, that's cool. I think I vaguely remember seeing a character that might have looked like that in Clone Wars, maybe the movie, Attack of the Clones. I mean,
No, he's in the Clone Wars. Yeah, he's in Clone Wars, but the actual like live action version of him, I was like he's sitting on a chair and like they pass by him in one scene.
oh, just a quick glance. Well,
I
he
think it
sounds like
might
an
be
interesting
episode.
character.
I think it might even be episode 1.
Huh. All right. Definitely sounds interesting. Um, so the other thing that I wanted to ask about is that loader droid. Is there any significance to like a loader droid, or is he just like a circumstantial character?
Well, it's kind of a callback to like those loader droids, I believe in the Clone Wars, they were actually like the Imperial like droid they were like droid commanders or something. Like they were I don't know, they commanded like ships and stuff in the Clone Wars.
Cool, because that guy was that one loader droid. Because when the stormtroopers first come looking, because of course they do, that loader droid's ready to smash some heads.
Yeah.
I was
Yep.
like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I mean, if he doesn't communicate, he must be ready to work, it seems. Sorry, that was half cough, half laugh.
Yeah, and then yeah, back to like the Quinlan Voss thing, there's like you see the Jedi symbol on the wall as well.
Yep. Yeah, that's what Reva sees later too, right?
Yeah. That's what she
Okay.
rips off essentially.
Ah, all right. So there was some significance to that. I was wondering what it was. Thank you for clarifying that. So yeah, after the loader droid basically tells the stormtroopers absolutely nothing, and they realize they're dealing with something that won't communicate with them anyways, they give up because they're stormtroopers that don't look very hard for anything. And we get the information that Leia and Ben are supposed to leave the planet, but then Vader shows up. And Vader is brutal. Like, holy shit, brutal. He straight up snaps a kid's neck in the alley. Like, he was about to just choke out his dad, but instead the son comes out and snaps his neck. That was insane. I kind of,
Yeah, that's you kind of see like the remnants of that angry Anakin. Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's not yeah.
It was actually honestly kind of tough to watch, but you know, as it is. Um, so for some reason, instead of, I mean, I get the whole point, I guess, but it still confuses me even now thinking about it. For some reason, Ben tells Tala to take Leia and run instead of just going with them because they would have had enough time to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, but they
But
didn't know that.
no, I know, but it would have just been much more sensible. Anyways, he sends them away.
But you got to realize too, Anakin is technically his responsibility. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he instead goes to try to provide a distraction while they get away, and he runs off. And Vader must have sensed him because he follows him into this like quarry area kind of thing, and they get this like little cat and mouse chase going on where Obi-Wan's just running away instead of like I mean, would have been the smart move to just defend yourself.
well, this is
But
but that's the point of the scene too. You get to see how out of like practice, out of the force he is.
oh yeah, yeah,
Right?
he definitely shows it. Like even Vader says, but he says it in a much more condescending way. The years have made you weak, but it's because he hasn't been training. It's not because the years have done anything to him. I think that's fairly obvious. But yeah, he kind of gets his ass whooped, and then Vader, instead of just killing him, decides to do this whole slow and painful style of torture with fire, where he drags Ben into fire and just like tries to set him on fire to make him suffer the way he suffered. Really kind of stupid. Revenge is a dish best served cold, not hot. That's a bad pun, but really just fucking kill the guy if you're gonna kill the guy. You're there for revenge. Why you gotta torture him?
Because he's
I
not
thought that
trying to kill.
was.
He's not trying to kill him.
Yeah, I know, not yet. He's gonna make him suffer. But it proves to be his downfall in this scene because then he takes too long, and Tala shows up after foolishly abandoning Leia in the tunnel instead of keeping with her like a responsible human being would have done. I still find that to be foolish too.
Well, I
I
want to
don't
point
know.
out something like the Obi-Wan Kenobi when confronting Vader, he's like, "What are you?" And yeah, and then Vader says, "You are what you made me," and it's in the voice of Earl Jones Jr. and Hayden Christensen.
Is it both of them?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't even catch that.
Well, they did the same thing in Star Wars Rebels. Like Ahsoka breaks the helmet, and both voices come out at the same time.
Huh. Interesting.
And the other thing too is when they're having their lightsaber duel, um, Anakin is still using his like Anakin's. Well, Vader is still using Anakin's style. He's not using the typical Vader's like lightsaber style. So you can tell like it's
Yeah.
still in the early stages. Like he's still kind of Anakin is still kind of present.
Yeah. So he's about to get attacked again by Vader, and Tala shows up after having abandoned Leia to try to let her get away on her own. And she shoots at the stormtrooper that's about to get Ben, and then shoots like a machine that's nearby, lights a fire, separates Vader and the rest of the stormtroopers from Ben. That same loader droid shows up and picks Ben up and takes him away. And as he's taking him away, we get another scene where we get Leia, and she is caught by Riva. And that's the end of episode 3.
So what was your overall thoughts of the episode?
Um, Again, going back to Vader, it was a bit rough with him when he did that kid, but it is actually a callback. It's like the younglings in Revenge of the Sith. It's on brand, so it's not surprising. Um, I really do love that James Earl Jones is back to voice Vader. Hearing it was definitely a pleasant surprise. So yeah, yeah, I'll save what I other than that after. So yeah, overall, I did enjoy the episode though. Um, what about you?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this episode. It was like Vader back on his bullshit, like kicking ass, killing people, choking them out. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I understand why Vader is the way he is, so I mean everything makes sense to me. So yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Enjoyed it.
Excellent,
So,
excellent.
so what was something you disliked from the episode?
With the Imperial transport scene, it just seemed kind of slow. I don't know. I mean, it moved along, but it felt kind of fillery at one point. Like with the first set of stormtroopers, didn't really need to be there, kind of thing. So it felt like there was a little bit of filler, but uh, other than that, really, I can't say anything bad about it. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really. The whole like tunnel thing, like inside there, was kind of boring, but we did get a lot of like lore and background and stuff there. So I mean, I don't know. I don't really have anything I disliked, really. So yeah, not
Cool,
much.
cool, cool, cool.
All right. So what would you give this out of 10?
I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it was a good solid 8 episode.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm leaning closer to a 9. I'll give it a 9. Vader back in action. What more can you really ask for, right?
I feel like that lore had a lot to contribute to your score too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then, what was your favorite character?
I have to go with Obi in this episode. He delivered the really good emotional stuff with those unnecessary stormtroopers. He had that really cool, almost like hallucinatory moment where he saw just Anakin on the mountains, and it was like trippy for him because he was like he had to take a double take, and it was like you could feel it. You know what I mean? Like he was really in this episode. He was very in. You know what I mean? Like he was there. He was present. So I gotta say he was my guy this episode. What about you?
Vader, obviously, for sure. What about dislike?
um, Wreck. What an absolute two-time piece of shit,
He's a Trump. He's a Trump supporter.
motherfucker. He was like Imperial or Empire, woo! But he was so nice to Leia, and then the moment he had a chance to turn them in, he was like, "Yeah, there's something you should, check them out." Fucking dickhead. What about you?
I don't have a character per se, but what I disliked about the episode is why did they have to shoot down the laser gate? They couldn't have just walked around it. I don't understand that whole part. So yeah, mine would be Obi-Wan Kenobi for shooting the gate instead of just walking around it.
I didn't even think of that, dude. That's so funny.
Yeah. So
Oh man.
yeah.
Ah, that's episode 3 in the bag. But we told you you're getting 2. Now Zach's gonna tell you about episode 4.
Okay. Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 4. So after escaping Darth Vader, Obi-Wan wakes up in a bacta tank, and we kind of get these little back and forths between him and Vader, kind of, mirroring each other in the bacta tanks. Obi wakes up, and first thing he does is ask where Leia is, right? So they head in and they, formulate this little plan, and we hear the guy, and he actually ends up calling like Obi. He calls him General, right? So he knows that it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi, General Kenobi from the
Call back
Clone
to the
Wars.
the Clone Wars.
Yeah. So Obi and Tala, they infiltrate the Inquisitor's stronghold, and the cool thing about the stronghold is we've seen like it first appeared in Jedi Fallen Order, like the video game, right? So like that's a pretty cool callback to that. Obviously, it was going to be included in this because it's the Inquisitor headquarters, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's located on the ocean moon of Nur in the Mustafar system. So they head out there to go rescue Leia. So then we see Riva, and she's like interrogating Leia, and I guess I should have mentioned this before, like when she was using her powers um,
Aja.
on the on hot, yeah, in the alleyway. But It's the same ability that Kylo Ren was trying to use on Rey in that I can't remember which movie, but in one of those three, the trilogy, the sequel trilogy.
Not the Rise, is it?
I don't know. It's whenever it might. I actually think it might be like the first movie. He's like trying to extract information out of her, and it's just not working. But it's the same. It's essentially a play on that too, right? Because she's trying to extract the information from Leia, and she is force sensitive, so she's able to kind of like reject it, I guess, right? And yeah, so she's trying to get information on the path. So Obi kind of sneaks in. We see him swim in, and he's got the same device in his mouth from episode one when they're swimming down to, uh, I don't know, Jar Jar Binks' place. I forget the name of them. And
The
so
Gungans.
the Gungans, yeah, the Gungan village. And so he gets in, he takes out a couple stormtroopers, he's sneaking around, and while he's looking around, he comes across this kind of like trophy room, and it's just full of dead Jedis that like preserved in some kind of like gel stuff, right?
That shit was
So
rough.
yeah, and so looking around in the scene, like there's one that kind of looks like Quinlan Voss. So we don't know if maybe Quinlan Voss got captured and killed, and so now he's in the trophy room. Um, Calling back to your episode. Um, but I think Obi would have stopped and like looked at him more so, right? But he was looking around. We see this other Jedi kind of like locked up, right?
Yeah.
Or well, not locked up, but like in this thing, and it's like this old kind of turtle looking dude. Yeah, so the old Jedi, he's from the Clone Wars, and he did like there's an episode with him and Ahsoka, and they go out on a mission, and he's the one who's got this like light blue lightsaber, right? Like it's lighter than the original like blue lightsaber. And yeah, and his name is Tarasin Noob. And yeah, he's like this old turtle looking dude. My bad. Calling back to when Obi and Tala were making the plan, right? Obi was like, "Oh, why don't you use the T-47s, right?" And they were like, "Oh, those are just like, those are just used for pulling cargo." And so what the T-47s are those ships that they use to take down the Imperial walkers, right? Those same lines that they pull the cargo with are what they wrapped up the legs of those walkers were in that snow you know that
Empire Strikes Back. You're talking about the AT-ATs.
yeah, no, not the
Oh no, the
AT-ATs.
ATSTs.
No, the Imperial Walkers, the big ones, where
Yeah,
they
yeah,
wrap up the legs and fall
the
them down.
four-legged
Yeah,
ones.
and also like Riva is looking more and more like one of the Padawans from the beginning. Like if you actually go back and watch the first episode, you see there's one girl that could actually be Riva. So going back to the trophy room, we also see a youngling preserved there. Um, it's weird because the kid did look like he was dead. It looked like he was like frozen in place, right? It was kind of weird. So I
Yeah.
don't I don't know, but there's a theory out there that Sidious is keeping all these corpses so he can learn how to clone the midichlorians, therefore figuring out how to bring himself back in Rise of the Skywalkers, right?
Sidious. I mean, sinister.
Yeah. So Obi finds Leia in the interrogation room, and the interrogation room is the exact same one used in Jedi Fallen Order. So it's and in like there's a Vader comic that also shows off the fortress, and it's actually pretty badass that they're keeping everything pretty accurate, right? So he cuts out like the lights get cut out. Obi-Wan, does the dark blue lightsaber shows up and Sing Sing cuts down the guards, right? He grabs Leia and they head out. So with Leia being freed, Tala's cover is blown and basically their presence gets revealed to everybody. So they know they're there. They end up being confronted, um, called out like traitors, right? And that's a callback to I can't remember, but there's a callback there to something in one of the other Star Wars movies, right? And then basically they get away with the help from like the leader of the path, right? They show up in those little ships, boom boom boom, blow up some stuff, and then they fly away essentially, right? Then we see Vader and he's pissed. He's choking the shit out of Reva. She's groveling for her life, like, please, please don't kill me, don't kill me. I put a tracker on them. So basically, he lets her live, and then we see Leia's little droid, and it's the tracker, and that's the end of the episode. Oh yeah, and one other thing I wanted to point out. You know the meeting room of like when all those like the inquisitors were at the table and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Around the room is full of the lightsabers of the dead Jedi that they killed. Like all around the
Oh
room. Yeah,
shit!
yeah.
I didn't
So
catch that. That's fucked up.
yeah, so that's one cool Easter egg.
They
But
got
yeah,
two trophy rooms.
yeah, essentially.
So Zach, what were your thoughts on this episode?
I really enjoyed it. I did forget to mention like when Obi-Wan and Leia are trying to escape, they get attacked by Jedi's, the glass, and they're like underwater and everything, and the glass gets broken, and Obi's able to hold back the water. Well, kind of hold it back for a little bit, which again is another callback to Jedi Fallen Order when Vader holds back the water at the end of the game when Cal Kestis escapes and swims up and tries to get away. And then another cool thing too was the alarm that goes off like when they're like found out is the exact same alarm from the like original series, right? The same sound, same everything. So overall, I really enjoyed the episode. So what about you?
I did too. I think on top of all the points you just hit, the really, I mean, that scene with Obi-Wan defending himself and defending Leia with the lightsaber, it was really really shot well. It was really well played. Like, just able to to defend himself, to make the shots hit, deflect properly. It Even though he was showing to be quote unquote weak with the Force in that last episode, he has, it seems to me at least, more than redeemed himself in terms of being able to at least defend himself as of this point. So, yeah, I think that this was a really solid episode, and yeah, I really don't have anything bad I can really speak on it right now. Since we both enjoyed it, what was something you disliked?
I don't know, nothing really. Again, these are solid episodes coming out of Obi-Wan. Like I don't really have much in the dislike category, right? Like the way Tala just kind of like walked in and showed she was like a badass, like when she was like infiltrating, that guy's like questioning her, like, you're not supposed to be here. And she's like, excuse me, don't talk to me. I'm your
Yeah.
commander, right? Um, yeah, so I don't really have any dislikes. So these are solid episodes.
I so I don't really have anything that I can say to disagree with you. I have one thing that I disliked about this episode, and it's not anything to do with the episode. That's why it's not going to matter overall. But this was the shortest episode so far, and that bummed me out. I didn't want this one to end. It was actually that enjoyable.
Yeah,
So if
I'd like more Vader and Obi-Wan interactions, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna give us more. So
oh, I really don't see why they wouldn't. It'd be foolish not to at this point. Well, all right. So we know what we think about the episode. We know what we didn't like about the episode. Who's your favorite character?
for this one, I have to say it was Obi. You know what I mean? Like he just showed he was pretty bad. Like Tala was really good too. I mean, okay, I'll make mine to Tala. She was a badass. She walked through and she was just like, dude, don't talk to me. Like, who do you think you are? And then she made up all that bullshit, and Riva believed her, right? So I have to say my favorite character of the episode is Tala for sure. What about you?
I if you were able to read, you'd see right here in my notes it says favorite character. Tala, very badass. So I'm just gonna say you nailed the absolute perfect description of my favorite character this episode. Nothing more need to be said on it.
So, who'd you dislike then?
That guy Roken, he pissed me off so much at the beginning when you first get introduced to him. He shouldn't even be here. Get him on the first transport out, and like 45 seconds later, he's like, "All right, I'll help you."
Is that Ice Cube's son?
Is that who that is? If that who that's the guy that was
That called
the
him that called him
yes,
General. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So then yes, the thing that whole instant 180 shit just so pissed me off. Stand to your ground, man. Stick to your guns for more than a minute. Jesus Christ.
General Kenobi, bro.
Yeah, I get it, but get
And
him out
don't
of here
forget,
next
didn't
transport.
he get murdered at the end of the episode?
Yes, he
So
did.
so I don't. I mean, there you go.
Sorry, sorry. Rest in peace. Thanks for your support and what about you? Who is your who is your least favorite
Um,
character?
my least favorite is probably Riva, just because she's torturing a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd have to give my least favorite to Riva. And she
She
planned
did
to
seem like she
track her
didn't
in
want
that
to do
little
it, right?
droid.
She did seem like she didn't want to do it though.
Yeah, I have a feeling Vader'd probably kill her in the end. Like,
I mean, it
yeah.
was gonna be her or Leia, so I mean,
I
she's
mean,
gonna
like Vader kills the second sister, so I mean, what's the third sister? Next.
next. That's fantastic. All
So
right.
Obi was sneaking around, getting acclimated with the Force. It's only a matter of time before we hear Qui-Gon Jinn's voice. So, yeah, yeah. So
Th- th-
9.5.
those those words coming out of that man's voice, no matter what they are gonna be something we don't forget. I'm gonna echo that 9.5. So that was easily the best episode. The only thing that I have to complain about it so far is, like I said, the length. I wish we had more of it.
Mhm.
If we had 45 minutes instead of 38 minutes, we might have even gotten a 10 out of this.
I mean, I
Who
don't know what
knows?
else they could have added, really. Like
Another
lots.
lightsaber duel between Vader and Ben.
Yeah, but I don't think Vader was there.
No, you're right. You're right. Oh, maybe Riva and Ben could have had a little bit one on one. That would be interesting to
I think
see.
that's gonna come. I think that's gonna come.
Oh, I
And yeah,
certainly
like
hope so.
my whole theory with Ahsoka coming in after doing more research and being like, "Oh yeah, it's not Reva she kills to get the lightsaber. It's like the fifth brother. No, not the fifth brother. The sixth or seventh sibling. I don't know. It's this
Hmm.
dude with this like cool half mask. She kills him with her bare hands. So I don't
Dope.
know. Maybe so we'll probably just see that in her show, which would be pretty cool. So we'll see how. Hopefully, we get to see how she gets her lightsabers.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
That'd
So
be dope.
yeah. And yeah, with that being said, that's it. So it's been real, John.
It has been real, Zach.
Deuces.
Thank you all so much for listening to Movie Night with the Boys.